So today we're continuing on in Yigdal, in the song of Yigdal, which is based on the 13 Maamins, the 13 principles of faith of the Rambam in his Akdama to Pirish HaMishnayos in Chelek, the 10th parak of Sanhedrin, as we mentioned last time. Last time we went through the first 5 lines, which were based on the first 5 Maamins, the one that talk about Emunah in the Rabbeinu Shalom and Yichud of the Rabbeinu Shalom. And today we're going to do, Mitzvah Hashem, the second Chelek, the next few lines of the song, which correspond to the 6th through the 9th of the Maamins, which talk about the authenticity of Torah and the Nevi'im of the Rabbeinu Shalom. And it starts with the line, Shefa Nevu'asai Nisanai El Anshe Segulasai V'Sifartai. Shefa Nevu'asai Nisanai. Hashem granted and gave the Shefa, the flow of Nevu'ah. And who did he give it to? El Anshe Segulasai V'Sifartai. To his treasured people and the people of his splendor. This is Keneged, the 6th of the Maamins. Maamin be'emunah shalema shekol divrei neviim emes. That there's a concept of nevuah, and the words of the neviim are emes. Hashem gave nevuah to worthy people, and everything that they say is transmitted from the Rabbeinu Shalom, and kol divrei haneviim emes. That's corresponding to this line, Shefa nevuasai nesanai al anshe segulasai v'sifartai. What's interesting though is that in this line in Yigdal, it says that Hashem gave nevuah to his Anshe Segula. Who's the Anshe Segula? The Yidden. We know in Parshas Yisrael, Parak Yud Tes, Pasuk Hey, V'yisem li Segula mikol ha'amim. Klal Yisrael is called the Am Segula. And Tif'artai, the people of Hashem's glory, of Hashem's splendor, that's also referring to the Yidden. That's the pasuk in Yeshaya. In Yeshaya Mem Vav, pasuk Yud Gimel, Li Yisrael Tif'arti. Yisrael is called the glory and the splendor of the Rabbeinu Shalom. So in the Iker Hashishi, where the Rambam talks about this in the Pirish HaMishnayos over there in Chelek, he says that Hashem granted nevuah lemin ha'enoishi, to human beings. And the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah says that as well. In Parak Zayin Halacha Aleph, Mi Yesodei Hadas, from the foundation to know, one important things to know about Yiddishkeit, about the das, about knowing philosophically is shehakel menabe as bnei adam. Hashem doesn't always say things straight to us. Hashem has neviim that he transmits his message through. But again, he says Hashem is menabe as bnei adam. So the Rambam in Pirish HaMishnayos and in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah does not mention Klal Yisrael. And here in the song that's based on this, the song says that Hashem gave nevuah el anshe segula asay v'sifartai. My high that the Rambam doesn't mention Klal Yisrael, and here in the song we do mention Klal Yisrael. And I would like to expound on this a drop based on the Medrash. There's a Medrash in the beginning of Parshas Vayikra. It's in Parsha Aleph Ois Yud Beis, where the Medrash says, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Ad sheloi hukam hamishkan, hoisa nevuah mitzuya be'umas ha'olam. The nevuah that existed in the world was even by the Umayis HaOlam before the Hakamas HaMishkan. Misha Hukam HaMishkan, once the Mishkan was erected, Nistalka mi beinehem, then already nevuah was removed from that opportunity of nevuah was removed from the Goyim, and from that point on, we only have Nevi'im in Klal Yisrael. The Medrash says that the Talmidim asked Rabbi Yitzchak, what about Bilam? Bilam HaRasha was a Navi even after the Hakamas HaMishkan, and Rabbi Yitzchak answered, L'toivasei shel Yisrael nisnabe. Bilam wasn't a Navi on his own. Hashem gave him the Koyach HaNevuah because ultimately he was going to end up benching Klal Yisrael. So since that was the Toivasan Shel Yisrael, that was an exception to the rule, but a guy on his own would not have the koyach of nevuah after the Hakamas HaMishkan. And the Ramban says this in Parshas Balak, in Perach Chav Beis, Pasuk Lamed Aleph. The Ramban says, Bilam loy haya navi, ela lekvoid Yisrael ba'ilav Hashem. Hashem came to him only for the covet of Yisrael. V'hakol bavur Yisrael u'lechvoidam. So the Ramban says the same as this Medrash. If you look in the Radak, in Yeshua, in Perach Yud Gimel, Pasuk Chav Beis, the Radak says as well, the Pasuk says, V'ez Bilam ben ba'ar hakoiseim. The Pasuk calls Bilam ben Ba'ar the magician, Hargu b'nei Yisrael b'cherev, that Klal Yisrael killed him. Zakta the Radak, the reason why the Navi calls him Hakoiseim is Lohidia, ki loy Navi haya ela Koiseim. He wasn't really a Navi, he was just a magician. Unuvu asay haisa l'chvayd Yisrael. This that he did experience Nevuah, that was only l'kavod Yisrael. That's the Radak and the Ramban, and that's this Medrash in Parshas Vayikra. Al kapanim, after the Hakamas HaMishkan, it was Nistalka Nevuah from the Umayis HaOlam. And the Pshat l'chayra is, because once Hashem built a place, Hashem instructed us to build a place for His Hashras HaShechina. Then Hashem focused His Shechina and concentrated His Shechina in that Mishkan, and then it was within Klal Yisrael, and it wasn't able, that Gilui Shechina was not able to be experienced among the Umay Sa'olam. And it could be, I was thinking that that's the Pshat in the Pasuk, could be a Pshat in the Pasuk, V'asu li mikdash v'shalchanti b'saycham, in the beginning of Truma, l'chayr the diktuk hakra should be V'asu li mikdash, make for me a Mishkan v'shalchanti b'saychai, that I will live in it. So Chazal darshan b'saycham, that I will dwell b'saych kol echad v'echad. But according to this Chazal, the Pshat could be that V'asu li mikdash, make for me a Mishkan v'shalchanti b'saycham. From that point on, my Shechina, the Gilui Shechina that comes through Nevuah, will only be b'saycham, will only be in Klal Yisrael, and not by the Ummah Sa'olam, because Misha Hukam HaMishkan, the Medrash says, then the Nevuah was only given to Klal Yisrael. But Al Kapanim, that could be the Pshat when the Rambam talks about Nevuah, he doesn't mention anything about Klal Yisrael, because Be'etzem Nevuah was something that was created, not limited to Klal Yisrael. Before the Akamas HaMishkan, there was such a concept as Nevuah by the Ummah Sa'olam. But today when we sing a song of Yigdal, and we talk about the fact that there is Nevuah, so we say Hashem gave Nevuah El Anshe Segula Say V'Sifratoi, because after the Akamas HaMishkan, then Taka Nevuah is limited to the Am Segula, the Am that it's Teferes to the Rebbeinu Shalom. That Gilui Shechina that we have in the level of Nevuah is limited Taka to Anshe Segula Say V'Sifratoi. Then we say Loikam Yisrael Kamoishe Oid Navi Umabit Estemun Asoi. Nobody in Klal Yisrael, even now that we established that Nevuah was in Klal Yisrael, but nobody ever came to the Madrega of Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah, that Moshe Rabbeinu was Mabit Estemun Asoi, that he saw with the vision with clarity. He saw the vision of Nevuah with clarity. That's based on the pasuk at the end of Parshas Bahaloischa in Perek Yud Beis pasuk Ches. It says Pe el Pe adaber boy umarev eloi v'chidois usmunas Hashem yabit. That Hashem, that Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see the vision, the picture of Hashem. Tmunas Hashem yabit. That's mabit es tmunasoi. That's what we're saying here in the Yigdal, and this is keneged the Ani Maamin, the seventh of the Ani Maamins. Shenevuas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom hoisa amitis v'shehu haya av l'neviim. He was the greatest of all neviim, lakoidmin lefanav v'laboim acharav. That's a separate Ani Maamin besides believing that all the words of neviim are emes. But we have a special Ani Maamin to realize that Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah was with the greatest clarity on the highest level than any other neviim. And the Rambam expounds on this in his Pirush HaMishnayos over there, and in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah Perek Zayin Halacha Vav, and he says that in truth, even though the Ani Maamin just says a general lashon that he was the Av Neviim, and in the Yigdal we focus on the fact that he's Mabit Es Tmunasai, that he was able to see clearly the Nevuah. There were really 4 advantages of Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah over the Nevuah of any other Navi. And the Rambam goes through them, and since this is one of the Ani Maamins, it's kedai for us to know them and to memorize them. And I'll give you a mitzvah Shem, a siman, that you'll be able to remember the 4 ways that Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah exceeded the Nevuah of everybody else. And the Rambam over there says that this was because Moshe Rabbeinu worked on himself and he reached a very high madrega, and therefore he was able to reach the highest levels of Nevuah. The first thing is Tmunas Hashem Yabit, that Moshe Rabbeinu saw things directly. He did not have to decipher any riddle, any puzzle. But other Nevi'im, when they had a Nevuah, they saw it b'derech chida. Umarev eloi b'chidos. Moshe Rabbeinu saw it without a riddle. But by other people, they saw, even Avrohom Avinu and other great Nevi'im, they saw things with a puzzle and they had to decipher it. Moshe Rabbeinu saw it very clearly. Like the Gemara says in Yevamos Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis, the Ramban brings it in the beginning of Parshas Va'era, that all the Nevi'im were able to see Hashem ba'aspaklaria she'ena me'ira, with aspaklaria that was not, it was a vision that was not shining, that was not illuminating. But Moshe Rabbeinu was nistakel ba'aspaklaria me'ira. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see something, was able to see the Nevuah with aspaklaria me'ira. If you look in Rav Shach Sefer, Rav Shach Zatzal and his Avi Ezri over there in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah has a whole arichos about this, and he brings a beautiful shtickle in the name of Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, the Maral Diskin, in the Chuvas Maral Diskin at the end of Chelik Beis, talks about what the Nisayan of the Akedah was. Hashem told Avram Avram Avinu to bring his son Yitzchak as a carbon. So what's the nisayon? If Hashem tells you something, so you go and do it, obviously. But the nisayon was because Avram was able to see nevuah ba'as baklaya she'ena me'ira. He had to upteach the nevuah. He had to interpret it to mean that. And with his negios, he could have interpreted it to mean something a little different, a little bit of a variation, not actually taking shechting Yitzchak pshuta kemashmai, but Avram understood that that was the emes, and therefore he interpreted it that way. But only because his nevuah was subject to the interpretation was there an isayin of the Akedah, Ayin Sham, in the piece of Rav Shach, and the piece of the Maral Diskin. But Al Kapanim, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see his nevuah clearly, without any chida, without any puzzle, without any riddle. That was the advantage that Moshe Rabbeinu had over the other Nevi'im. In addition, all the other Nevi'im were only able to see a nevuah b'chaloim. Whenever it says that Hashem spoke to the Avos, or Hashem spoke to any Navi, it means that while they were sleeping, Hashem appeared to them in a dream. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to experience the nevuah when he was awake. In addition to that, all the other Nevi'im, they get very flustered and nervous when the nevuah comes. Their whole guf shakes, mamish, but the akilu, they're about to die. But the nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu was not like that, like the pasuk says in Parshas Kisisa, Parak Lamed Gimel, pasuk Yud Aleph, Kasher Yidaber Ish El Reyehu. Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Hashem like he talked to a friend, and he was very calm. He wasn't nivhal. That was the advantage, the third advantage of Moshe Rabbeinu over the other Nevi'im. And also the other Nevi'im had specific times that Hashem decided to appear to them and talk to them in nevuah. They couldn't see nevuah any time that they want, but Moshe Rabbeinu at any given time, at any time that he wanted, he could decide that he wanted to talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and then he could experience that nevuah. So firstly, Moshe Rabbeinu saw it clearly as opposed to the other Nevi'im who didn't see it clearly. Secondly, they could only see it when they were asleep, and Moshe Rabbeinu could see it when he was awake. Thirdly is that he did it kedaber isha rayehu. He didn't get all flustered. He was able to talk like you talk to a friend. And finally, that Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see nevuah at all times, as opposed to other Nevi'im who were given specific invitations of nevuah at that specific time, but they weren't able to see nevuah at all times. Now, as I said, since this is one of the Ikrei Amunah, we don't want to be an Apikairis. Even Nebuch an Apikairis is Eich an Apikairis, like we mentioned last time from Reb Chaim. So we want to know that Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah is emes, and it's on a higher madrega than all the other Nevi'im. So we should have in mind these four things. It's very hard to remember four things without a siman. So I made a siman. It may sound cute or funny in the beginning, but Lamaisa, me and my children, we repeat this over often, and this is the way we remember the four things when you're talking to a friend or talking to a Talmud. What are the things that you want from him? You want him to be clearly awake and friendly at all times. Clearly awake, friendly at all times. Clearly is that Moshe Rabbeinu saw the nevuah. Clearly awake, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see the nevuah when he was awake. Friendly, he was able to talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom, kedaber isha rayehu, and at all times, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see nevuah at all times. So if you just remember those four expressions, clearly, awake, friendly at all times, then you know the four things that Moshe Rabbeinu, by his nevuah, was greater on a higher level than all the other Nevi'im. And then we say, Toiras emes, Nasan la'amoikel. Hashem gave Torah's emes to his nation, a Torah of truth. Al yedei nevi'oi ne'eman beisai. He gave it through the one who is the most trusted. That expression of ne'eman beisai, that's also from Baal Oischa. Perak Yud Beis Pasuk Zayin B'chol Beisi ne'emanu. That Moshe Rabbeinu in my entire house was the most trusted. But through his Navi that was Ne'eman Beisai, he gave us a Torah's emes. The Ikar Nekuda is that the Torah that was given to Moshe is emes, and that's the eighth of the Ani Maamins. Shekol HaTorah Mitzuya Ata B'Yadeinu Hi Hanesuna LaMoshe Rabbeinu Olav HaShalom. That is the Torah that is now in our hands. That is the Torah that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rambam in Pirush HaMishnayos stresses not just that the entire Torah is emes, but the entire Torah is equally important. When Hashem says Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we know that that's important. Zok the Rambam, Uvenei Cham, Kushu, Mitzrayim, Ufutu Chanan, the four children of Cham mentioned in Parshas Noach, that's also equally important because that is Torah's Hashem. So that's the Torah's emes, Nasan la'amoi, Kel, that Hashem gave us a Torah's emes, Al Yedei Nevi'oi Ne'eman Beisoi. And the fourth one in this group, that's the ninth altogether, is Lo Yachalif Hakel V'lo Yamir Dasoi, Lo Oilamim L'Zulasoi. Which means that Hashem will never exchange, He'll never substitute this law, the das of which is the Torah, for another one for all eternity. So really you have to read the phrase a little backwards. It's as if it says Hakel, the Rebbeinu Shalom, lo yachlif lo yamir dasai, will never exchange, will never substitute his Torah, lizulasai, for a different one, lo olamim, forever. But poetically in the song, it's lo yachalif akel v'lo yamir dasai, lo olamim, forever, lezulasai, for anything else to substitute it. And that's connected the ninth of the Ani Maamins, shezois ha-Torah lo tehei muchlefes. This Torah will never be exchanged, will never be substituted. V'lo tehei Torah acheres me'eis habayri yisbarach shemai. There will never be another Torah. And if this is, of course, Lafuke, the Christians who claim that there's a New Testament that was added to the Torah, but we know that the Old Testament is the only testament, and that is the Ani Maamin, the ninth of the Ani Maamins, and that concludes this section of the Ani Maamins. The four middle ones, the number 6 through number 9, that is the Ani Maamins that talk about the authenticity of Torah and the Nevi'im, and that is what we have, these four stanzas in the Yigdal which correspond to those, and the last group of 4 which talk about the Schar V'Einish that's going to be L'Asid Lavoi, that's the Ani Maamins number 10 through number 13. That's the last part of the Song of Yigdal that in Mitzvah Hashem will save for next time.